welcome. My name is Jason, aka Woo Woo J Train. Welcome to Off the Rails. Gonna draft a dinger team tonight. I like drafting with people, so decided to reach out to my good friend Billy Jones, who is joining us this evening. Billy, how you doing, man?
Good, yeah. I love drafting with you. It's always fun to hang out. It's funny that we're hanging out online, and I do realistically think that some of my friends, like people I would call friends, are never. I know you're a friend, and I think
Yeah,
we don't see each other in person. You see them online, so I'm going to hang out with my online friends, but it's real. So yeah,
yeah,
I'm excited
it
to
is.
be here.
It is real. I decided to don the polo in my guy Brad's honor since he showed up to my stream last time out looking fresh in a polo. So um, had to one up him a little bit, or at least meet him a little bit. So um, yeah, we've got a couple things we were going to kind of want to review on my side here. So Billy was nice enough to take my exposure data, and this is as of I want to say Friday, so I've probably done maybe 10 or 12 drafts. So things have updated just a little bit, but just kind of wanted to show you guys, you know, pick distribution by draft slot. I've got some combinatorial ownership stuff, and I'll let Billy kind of explain what he did here. First off, Henny Penny is out. Welcome, crew, as always. Duke, welcome. Nick is here. Yeah, we're not. I mean, we're gonna have to talk about Grayson Rodriguez, but I've had to shut my camera off and sob into my microphone. Don't blame me. Turbo, what's up? Uh, yeah, got a new background here. I'm in a new room, so it'll change again because I'm trying to reconfigure some stuff. So good eyes there. And Coolers, what's up, man?
I like the
Um,
background here. I think I
yeah,
like the
yeah, it's
wall.
not bad. The home plate with the baseballs behind me. My uncle actually made that for my dad.
Hmm.
So whenever my dad would go to a new ballpark, he would just turn one of the golf balls that's in there to have the team's logo facing out. So whenever my wife and I are doing kind of the same thing, going to all the ballparks, we have our own thing we do. But whenever we go to a park that my dad wasn't able to go to, we flip the ball for him. So we got to go back to Fenway and we got to go back to Tampa Bay, which would be interesting once they get their new stadium. But so
Hmm.
yeah, I really like that piece behind me. I might move it when I reconfigure some stuff here. All right, so this first thing that I'm going to share doesn't really matter all that much, but it is to me pretty comical. It is my pick distribution by draft slot. And as you can see, I'm in hell when it comes to drafting at the back of the draft. So, Billy, what are we looking at here?
Yeah, so just in general, have some dashboard that I keep for myself that I just do some simple data analytics to understand what am I doing during these drafts. I'm a nerd, so I like to have I like enjoy the as much as I love to draft, I enjoy this data stuff too. And it is I don't just jump I do jump into drafts, so am I kidding? But I am very consciously kind of doing things intent with who I'm picking. So um this is just a visual that's kind of pick slot by how often it's happening for you. You're definitely 8% ish is roughly what would be normal. You're twice that on some of these later picks. It really is so skewed. Like if some of the guys in the back of the draft board are who you need this year, or better said, if the guys in the front of the board disappoint, you're about to have one hell of a season. And this is dinger only. I do want to caveat that, but yes.
And again, this was as of I want to say like Friday of last week. So I'm really starting to ramp up my drafts now, trying to max out. So I've done probably 12 to 15 since then. I can confirm that not much has changed. I did get my first 1.05. I got my first fifth pick today, which is not fun. It's probably the worst draft slot. But this 101 luck is pretty brutal. It's it's annoying and it's frustrating to feel like I'm building the same teams, especially in the front part of drafts. But I'm just I just take Tatis the majority of the time. Like I'm almost at 30%, I want to say, with Tatis at this point. I'd have to double check, but I think it's like 25-ish. And he feels pretty good to like place a bet as like the guy at the back half of the draft who could really smash, really overachieve his draft slot. So it's been kind of annoying to see the same numbers every time, but I mean it's not worth complaining about because it's just RNG, man. I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, and I'm not that much better, but that's definitely a pretty ugly one. I think it is funny, like the five slot quite literally isn't even on the page at that point.
Yeah, it's
And
pretty wild, actually.
yeah,
The next thing that we're going to look at is position allocation by round, as well as roster construction. So again, this was through 64 drafts. I think I'm up to 80 now. So Billy, what are we looking at here?
oh yeah, this is a fun one. So it's just kind of like where you're placing your picks, like your flow through the draft, essentially is the way I think of it. So the visual on the left is so by round, what percentage of picks are going to a certain position. You can see here that starting out outfield, pretty heavy, and then you got a nice chunk of pitchers in the middle, purple, and kind of dabbling in infield throughout at a pretty consistent pace, I think is a way to think of it. And then on your right hand side is roster construction through two different points in the draft. Like the total roster construction, kind of the that we all talk about, but I think a big inflection point is like how you start your draft. And last year I went looked at the first 5 rounds, but since pitching has kind of shifted back again, like not really getting to many like well, I guess you are getting to 3 pitcher films in this situation, but you're not getting to many of those too. And like if you're just kind of following ADP, you're really you could fall at the norm is 1 or 0 or 1, so I kind of pushed it back one more round to 6. But it's just kind of like how you're starting and where you're getting to.
Okay. Well, apparently I'm having a technical issue and there is no screen share. So give me just a
I
sec,
can see
guys.
it.
I'm really sorry that that's happening. Let's delete. Okay, sorry, guys. Let's pull this off. Let's try this. This is the first time I've ever like toggled between like screens here and there. Okay, can you guys see it now? Are we good? Let me know. Thank you, by the way, in chat for telling us. I really appreciate that. But yeah, give me a. We're good. All right, cool. Okay, so
I saw it the whole time, so I don't
I
know.
did too. Yeah, I know what not to do now. I just learned how this works. Guys, I'm not professional. Okay, I'm an amateur. This is amateur hour. But to Billy's point, so pick distribution on the left, roster construction on the right with first 6 rounds. And this backs up, like I've been saying, this is how I'm drafting all year. And this is that 668. I know that team, and it's because I forgot I was in a draft and I autoed a few picks. So you will not see another 668 build from me again. But I have a type. I really think that 776 is my preferred build because I like to hit outfield so early. Outfield just gets so bad so quickly, and it's not only a quality of player thing, but it's a playing time thing. Like
Mhm.
if you've got 3 or 4 outfielders on your team that are definitely in platoons or platoon risk, like it's going to be difficult to put up a lot of points at that position. So I've been really prioritizing early outfielders, and I love leaving 6 rounds if I can get one ace. Garrett Crochet is my highest owned right now in that kind of like ace tier. But if I can get one ace and just kind of build a staff around that guy with bats that I already feel great about, that's my preferred way to build right now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. And so I take this and then do it one more. I have like a sheet which I have like targeted percentages. So for 100 drafts, I want 25% in this bucket and 20% in this bucket and try to track to that and I adjust accordingly. But I just keeps me in line because I do feel like I would draft the same 0 pitcher 776 every damn time if I didn't do it like intentionally.
Yeah, and I do like I feel like I draft for what I think is probably optimal, but I do want to work in some kind of different builds here and there. Because it's just kind of fun to draft a completely different team, especially when you're
Hmm.
drafting 150 of these. It's like, why not do something kind of weird a couple times? Um, but I just always feel really, really good about having 5 or 6 just really, really solid, 4 or 5 really solid bats and getting an ace if I can. Um, so let me drop this one and we will look at a different screen here in a minute. I won't screw this up this time, I promise. Um, this next one that we're going to look at is combinatorial ownership. Now, again,
Ooh, yeah.
um, I've done about 20 drafts since Billy was nice enough to look at this information for me. So this stuff has changed intentionally, but Billy, tell me what we are looking at here. And chat, you should be able to see this. If you can't, let me know ASAP, okay?
So what I believe, yeah, okay, this is just hitters only. So
Right.
essentially, how often are hitters being paired up with each other? So left hand side, right hand side, how they're combined. So that first one, Jose Ramirez, I'm obviously this is internal. You can see that I need to clean up some of the aesthetics, but Jose Ramirez is paired with Josh Jung 4 out of 4 times. So something like that is what I'm highlighting here. Whereas also you see right below that when you have drafted Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis is on those. So let's go down to someone who's like Isak Paredes, Josh Jung. So that's not 100%. On the left hand side, you've drafted Isak Paredes 7 times at this point. 5 of them included Josh Jung. So what that's just telling you is like if you're potentially overexposed on people being aligned and it being a stack is more reasonable, right? Like you're intentionally getting them together. Maybe you don't want to tie up every Machado share to certain players, but like that is intentionally aligned and more frequent than not. But the having your Judge to your Trout, maybe we were chatting like that was intentional, but like those are also potentially really high risk players. Like, do you want all of your Judges torpedoed by a Trout injury early? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe not. You definitely don't. So like
Right.
balancing out those kind of truly uncorrelated situations.
And that's
Yeah,
that one specifically was the biggest takeaway that I had. Like Josh Young is going to show up everywhere because he's my highest owned infielder right now.
yeah.
I am backing off a little bit, but I don't want all my Judge teams to be tied to Trout. Um, I intentionally drafted them together because in my brain, the way that I'm drafting Trout is he's going to be fine. He's going to be healthy and he's going to smash. Right. That's the story I'm telling myself. So I want him with Aaron Judge because if we get a healthy, great Mike Trout with Aaron Judge, like it's going to be awesome. But obviously, you have to acknowledge the inherent risk in Mike Trout's injury history lately. So I do not want all of my Aaron Judge teams tied to him. So if I ever get a 102 again, I will definitely make sure to not tie Aaron Judge to Mike Trout. But this to me is the most interesting of the slides because I think the combinatorial ownership thing is very, very important, especially with guys who are not tied to stacks, Um,
It's like the reason that they fit is because ADP aligns. Structurally, you're doing one thing, so that's like you like the other way it fits. So it's like, and everyone has their patterns. So while it's not wrong to get to the like to draft the guys that you think that you want or to be the best. It's like if you're maxing or having a decent sized portfolio, you should have some exposure to other situations
yep,
happening. And that's what you're
yep,
doing here is making sure that you have some diversity within your portfolio and you're not just drafting the same team 75 times over and over again.
yep. I agree with that completely. The second to last that we'll look at is somewhat similar, but it involves pitchers as well, actually. So let me get this guy pulled up. FK Coolers. I am a pro now. Look at me go. I'm doing it. I'm here. All right, here we go.
Essentially
So
the same chart, but
basically,
included
yep.
pitchers. And there's not really a reason to stack your pitchers. If you want to do that and tell me that you're going to stack the same team, sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but you know, and there's I mean, I've done a little bit of like pitcher staff stacking, but it's nothing that I'm really leaning into. So just a quick little hit on this. You know, a big one like my I do have quite a bit of Vlad, but you know, 7 or 11 times I've drafted like these combinations, whatever, and Woodruff and Crochet are both on a lot of Vlad teams. So that's something I just need to be mindful of as I move forward, especially with pitchers, because pitcher injuries are usually devastating. Um, I don't want to have those same pitcher combinations with Vlad every single time. And the last slide that we're going to check out is, sorry, my stacks. So the teams that I have stacked and how many of them, how many of the players from those teams I have within each stack. So here we go.
And this is just hitting. I isolate just for hitting on this.
Perfect. Yep. So I am a thought leader. I'm the only one stacking Tampa Bay late. Really original. So I've got quite a few 2 and 3 man stacks of Tampa Bay, trying to get to a lot of Dodgers. The Texas one surprised me because I love that offense. So to see that I don't have like hardly, I have 1 3 man and 1 4 man Texas stack. I need to change that because I really believe in this offense. It's a little harder now that Adolis's Bleak is dead, but Angels too. You know, outside of the 3 outfielders, like Zach Neto is going to start on the IL, so there's really not much to love with the Angels outside of their outfielders for me. But I found this interesting. It tells me that I think I need to do more stacking. These numbers are a little bit lower than I thought that they would be across the board.
Yeah, I think the team that kind of stands out to me is Atlanta. Like Atlanta's a premium offense, and they are not a team you stacked up significantly. And I understand that they're somewhat expensive, but I mean, there are so many situations where they work and work really well. So that was the one. Like I got kind of like I feel like just kind of quick reaction that one doesn't feel necessarily right.
Yeah, I agree. I got to get more Atlanta stacks. So that's it for the slides. Let me test the waters in a lobby real quick, guys. Don't jump in just yet. I don't want to rug you guys.
You're too nice. You're willing to like wear a draft for everyone so that like
Yeah.
it just fills right away. You're like, I'll do another one. I got it.
Yeah. I just want to see what this looks like. Billy, you want to go ahead and hop in one?
Sure.
Want to hop in a dinger with me?
7.
Yep. You in?
Yeah.
All right. We need 7 more people. Hop on in. The water's warm. Let's fill this bad boy up. I've gotten really, really lucky. Well, I've been trying to time it too the last couple streams, but I've been getting really lucky with being able to get full lobbies with people who are in here. So let's go to some of the chat. So we've got FK Cooler saying, I find I'm doing 776 the most for the same reasons that I am. Perfect. I like that. It is good to push your comfort zone sometimes, especially if you're doing volume drafting. Oh, guys, here we go. Take a look at where old J Train is, right at the GD end of the draft. Who knew? Who could have ever predicted that? Oh, just end me. Okay.
So you got to have faith that you're gonna run hot to finish it out if you're gonna put enough volume in, and that there will be a time where you do feel good about drafting. So just have hope.
It's truly amazing. What's amazing to see, we have a lot of people who are in the chat in here. So I believe Max is in here. What's up, Matt? How are you, man? Rocket Sauce, Billy, obviously you're in this with me at the 5. Turbotron's here. Coolers is here. Duke is here. So we got a room full of friends here, which is always great to see. That's the whole point of this. I want to draft with you guys. I want to talk baseball. We're having a good time. What's up, Rocket Sauce? Thanks for hopping in with us. Appreciate you, man. Billy, the 5. I think it sucks. I think it's probably the worst slot in the draft. So, what are you thinking you're going to do here?
I don't know. Cause like I don't want to take it. Like I don't love the idea of Ellie and Bob. Like I love like from a construction perspective having. I don't like chasing outfield, but Ellie and Bobby Witt are better picks. Um, and then like when you look at like the outfielders, like I like Jordan and Tatis better. Anyways, I'm just Bobby Witt. No, that thank you. Like that's what I'm doing.
Yeah,
but
that's
I'll finish
that's
my
the only
thought.
thing to do.
I'll finish my thought. But like Jordan and Tatis are my two preferred picks of like tier two, I'll call them, or like 1A outfielders. And so, uh, like I'm gonna get just a ridiculous amount of them if I just continue to push them up. So I kind of take a little bit of Kyle Tucker. Um, and I don't know. It feels like it feels a tough situation. It's the worst pick on the board. It feels like, as you said.
It really is. I mean, and Matt chiming in, like pick 19 is hell. Like it's not fun on the way back either. Now you getting Witt there at the 5 is nice. Um, like I said, I've only gotten one 5 pick in the 80 something drafts that I've done, but I think I'm just going to use it to just take Ellie or whoever's there. I am not going to have much Ellie this year, but at the 5, like I'm not really excited about Kyle Tucker. I can push up Fernando Tatis, but just kind of with the way my draft slot luck has been going, like I have enough Tatis. Like I'll probably will continue to get enough Tatis. Um, so yeah, I think I'm just gonna get a couple of shares of Ellie if I'm at that 5. If one of those first 4 don't fall, because like if you get the 1 through 4, like your life is really really easy. I think it's an easy decision. So I got the 12 and 13 here. I think I'm just gonna double tap Jordan and Schwarber. Let's just start this outfield off with a very common pairing, but a very
Clean.
spiky, powerful pairing.
And it's just like a clean start. Like you don't feel like you're dipping into like an uglier tier. And yeah, there's ways to stack it up if you want to. So I definitely like that start to have multiple.
Yeah, it's the 12 can be a fun spot to do kind of some weird stuff. Like, we were looking at before the Freddie Freeman thing broke, like you could do a Mookie and then reach for Freddie Freeman to kind of have like a unique infield stack with the Dodgers. I'm just kind of in like just kind of play the best plays type of mindset at the 12 right now. I have gotten a couple of Jordan Tatis teams, and that makes me so happy I want to cry. But I mean, it feels good to double tap Jordan and Schwarber. And Cruz saying the 112 feels better this year than last. I 100% agree with that. Absolutely.
And the reason that's the case is because there's a couple infielders that are taken in the first round. Last year, it was like quite literally just 9 straight outfielders, and that
Mm-hmm.
was it. There was no way to even make it work.
Yep.
This year, like you're gonna get an outfielder that you feel comfortable with.
Yep. So I saw you went Rooker there, so you pulled him up like 5-ish spots. So are you really in on Rooker this year?
Um, Not more than last year. Last year, I thought he was unbelievable value. This year, I'm like, okay, I like from a I need outfield. I think that the park's going to play well, and Oakland's a fun way to the Athletics are a fun way to stack it up. They changed it on Underdog. Did you
I saw
notice that?
that.
Okay, Billy Jones got to focus. Let's just do this. Let's have my outfield hit home runs.
There you go. So Witt, Rooker, Santander start. That feels nice. Santander's price is a little difficult for me to swallow at this point, but
Why?
it also doesn't feel bad. especially if you can stack him with Vlad, which is a lot harder nowadays, I think.
Why is it bad?
Um, I don't know. I just don't like you kind of need him to be at minimum what he was last year to pay off this price. Like I just don't know how much more juice there is. And isn't Toronto a worse park to hit in than Baltimore for the most part?
I mean, I would have to pull it up. I
Yeah, I
know,
would too.
was it Mount Baltimore, or whatever?
It's definitely an offense downgrade for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure, without a doubt. I don't know. I just am like, he's gonna hit home runs. He's gonna like his offense is he's gonna be at the top of the lineup, which I like to get the lineup, like the guys that hit around him. Um, so like I don't know. I'm not adverse to taking him. I guess is more of the way I think of it.
And I want to be clear. I actually have a decent amount of Santander. Like I'm
Mhm.
not fading him by any stretch of the imagination. It's just his price is kind of like I don't feel amazing about the click, but
Mhm.
like it's fine. Um, you know what, guys? Let's just play the hits. We're just gonna play the hits. We're gonna go Jordan Schwarber Trout, and then we're gonna go Corey Seager. Corey Seager is one of my favorite picks on the board. This team might be on the injured list by May 2nd, with Trout and Jordan's bum knees and Corey Seager hanging out. But like this start feels pretty nice if these guys stay healthy. I feel pretty good about having Jordan, Schwarber, Trout, and Seager on the same team.
Yeah, this team is likely to spend 3 to 4 weeks in first place. I think what happens
Yeah.
after that
And
is
then
the
it's like, oh,
question.
the wheels just fall right off. Yep.
Yeah, but this one, asterisk this one because and be like review early, and
Mm-hmm.
then you'll feel really good about that moment.
Yep. Just gonna name it. Ouch, my everything hurts. That's what
Yeah,
I'll do.
no, but I like what you're doing here in terms of like, I mean, these guys fit best ball so well. Maybe a little bit high risk, but that's okay. You're gonna have to have some versions of this while drafting. It seems like you're also, based on watching you definitely have not overly you're like you're not scared of risk or drafting a little more risky teams. At least you're based on your love of Trout. So
Yeah,
this
and I
is
I
very
have
good.
quite a bit of Seager. I have a lot of Woodruff. Like I have quite a bit of Royce Lewis. I'm exposing myself to these guys that have injury concerns. I merely Rocket Sauce is admitting he doesn't like money. That's unfortunate, Rocket Sauce. I I I view, especially this year more than past years, I am looking at this game as ceiling outcomes only, right? Because I've had fun advancing, a decent amount of teams the last couple of years. I haven't had fun not making a single final. Okay. I haven't had fun making a football final on DraftKings before I made any MLB final. And I'm garbage at football. Okay. So I'm truly just trying to like put together teams that in a weak sample can absolutely smash if people happen to be on the field at the same time. I've
Mhm.
said it on a previous stream. I feel like my advance rate this year is going to either be like 6% or it's going to be 40 because I'm just not drafting scared with a lot of these guys who have injury concerns.
Yeah, that is, yeah, but that's also, since you're going to be so aggressively towards certain players, you do need to be like kind of conscious of how you combined your teams, and that's why
Right.
you in my DMs about can you run that for me?
Yes, absolutely. So I saw you took the Lawrence Butler pick there to stack with Brent Rooker.
Hmm.
I've been mostly out on Butler just because he's in the price range of Riley Green, Mike Trout. Those are just guys, Corey Seager. Those are just guys that I prefer. But I don't want to totally miss out on Lawrence Butler. I just kind of don't know what to do with him, man.
Yeah, I think that I mean, like, I don't want to get over my skis on him for sure. I just think that there's a couple. The A's I think are they align nicely, so I want a fair amount of just like clean versions of them. So this next pick is a brand play for me personally. This is who,
Yep.
who I've been drafting a fair amount of this year. I do think that I like Seiya Suzuki better than just in a vacuum between the two players. I think it's a little bit better offensively, but Brenton Doyle, and also just the Rockies in general. I mean, we can laugh about how bad they're going to be, but they play in course, and it is a thing. And he is a player who has just shown incredible growth, plays unbelievable defense, so he's going to be out there every single day. And I think one of my favorite nugget about him is he played like Division II baseball, and he ran through the minors pretty quickly. I think so. It was like his level of exposure to advanced training and technology is more limited than what you'd think is like a traditional like high level Division I baseball player. So I think that that's just only pointing positive to what he could be.
Yeah, he smashed last year.
Yeah.
He wasn't really on many people's radar last year. Um, the last stream that you and I did together, we infamously drafted Sean Bouchard when we could have taken Brenton Doyle.
We're having fun.
That is my fault. We were having fun, and we did have fun. Okay. Real quick, I don't think this team has enough injury risk, so I'm going to add Christian Yelich bum ass back to it.
Mm-hmm.
And let's go ahead and stack him with a guy that I don't have much of. I'm going to go ahead and reach for William Contreras and try to get a little bit more of him.
Yeah, I thought you were about to just like double down on this injury risk and go Luis Robert. But I guess
No.
you are going to be on Stacking Dingers this week, so talking the AL Central. So you got to save your takes for that.
I will. Yeah, this range actually, like, I loved the Christian Walker pick in this range, but he's got an oblique thing. Do we have an update from earlier? Yeah, he's just undergoing ultrasound, so we'll know what his oblique is looking like. But he feels like an amazing click in this range. It would have stacked well with Jordan. I already have enough injury risk here. I'm not going to take a guy who it would appear may start the season on the injured list. Junior Caminero is another name that I've been clicking quite a bit. I've got 16%, I think, Junior Caminero, and he just keeps climbing and climbing and climbing. But he did leave with a sore back today. And that's the best thing that could possibly happen for someone who has faded him so far and wants to get more, because his price is going to drop temporarily. So you better hop in.
Yeah, it's like I need to be better about like the news blurbs. So Tovar was like, and I may just blow this up on myself, but like was it Tovar like got hit by a pitch, and then they had like this, they were like saying he had got tricep injury.
Tricep injury, yeah.
Like he got hit by a pitch. Like, let's be real here. He dropped like
fine.
25 picks in the draft that I was in, and I was like, I just was like, I read the blurb, and I just was like, I don't know what it is, so I can't draft him.
Yeah, just rub some dirt on it, man. You'll be fine. That's what Grayson Rodriguez needs to do. Just rub some dirt on that tricep. It'll be all right. Everything's fine. The world's not burning down around me.
But like that's different.
Yeah. It's much different, much more concerning. Boy, me and Rocket Sauce, we're just not on the same page. And I don't like that, because I think Rocket Sauce is pretty smart. So either he's missing out or I'm dumb. Turbotron is 100% correct. Like this team needs DeGrom Strider double tap like it needs air. So, we're doing weird stuff from the 12, right? Let's just build a team that could have 4 healthy guys in June. Let's talk about your team. I've been chatting too much. So you took Dylan Cruz. So you've currently got. Let me pull you up here real quick. Sorry, man. Here you go. You've got a 0-1-5 build, so you are cranking outfield. You've got Bobby Witt Jr., then your outfield is Rooker, Santander, Larry Butts, Brenton Doyle, and Dylan Cruz. It's that's a loaded outfield for sure.
Well, I mean, it kind of had to battle back with taking not a first round infielder, but it feels kind of great. And haven't done a ton of this kind of construction, but it makes a lot of sense, and I don't feel like I'm I don't know. I actually do feel like I kind of have an advantage to. I've drafted similar constructions 0-1-5s, but not with the first round infielder like this. I got to do more stuff like this. But I'm on the clock now. I'm a little disappointed in CJ Abrams. That's kind of why I did Dylan Cruz. But let's go.
Rocket Sauce doesn't have Yelich because he's a walking back spasm. True. Very true. SB says never again with Grayson. What if Grayson Rodriguez got hit by a pitch? See, now Turbo's looking at it through the fourth dimension. Matt, 22% Yelich. He's with me. I'm approaching 30% on him. It's a little scary, but okay. You can tell what kind of man by who double Strider and DeGrom instead of Kirby and Valdez. That is correct. And Yelich here, if he's back to what he's been the last 2 years and the surgery keeps him healthy, he's a third round value easily. I literally could not have said that better myself. And again, Yelich is just he's I don't know, he's kind of a snapshot of the guys. I'm just drafting the guys that I think are the best players more often than not. Like, it's not all just injured people, right? But I'm trying to put together teams that just have extremely good baseball players, and I'm just praying to the baseball gods that I get lucky with dodging injuries. It's not every single team, but it's a big chunk of my portfolio. I mean, you can see it in my exposures that, you know, I'm just hoping that some of the injury luck can go my way. So this right here is a range that I absolutely love to start my pitching. So I am going to go ahead and double tap. I'm going to do Pablo Lopez. And I want to try to kind of like even out exposures a little bit. Like, I would love to pick Strider, but this is enough potential pain here. Let's go George Kirby. So Pablo Lopez, George Kirby, back-to-back there to start the staff. So I've got a 2-2-4 build.
Is that hold up?
What's up?
I didn't want to is that any different than Nick Bocklish's comment though? Kirby Valdez, Pablo Kirby, like he did just draft. He roasted you about what makes the Strider DeGrom versus Kirby Valdez, and you went the low T version.
Okay. I didn't say I was a high T drafter. He just said you can really tell what type of man based on how they draft pitchers. All right. I just went ahead and answered the question, and I'm not ashamed of the answer. All right.
So you let your actions speak for himself.
Exactly. Yeah. Come at me, bro. But yeah, I mean, I do like Lopez, I think, has more strikeout potential than Framber Valdez. Like, Framber Valdez feels like the safest player in that range. Like, him and Logan Webb are like extremely safe plays. But again, I'm also kind of trying to do some exposure leveling here. And George Kirby's probably in that range of pitchers that we just saw go off the board. So Kirby, Lopez, Framber, Webb, Nola, Yamamoto. Like, George Kirby is one of my lower owned among that group. I have like no Logan Webb. So just trying to kind of like even things out a little bit. That's it. Oh, and Sam Olsen did a Pablo Kirby yesterday. So, and he's the one who won the Dinger last year. So, that's it. That's all the research I need. I don't need to look at numbers. Just watch what he does.
You listen to better drafters.
You went with Jorge Soler. Are you done with outfield? How's this build shaking out for you?
Done with outfield. It feels free. I feel so good about it. I don't know. This is maybe a little earlier than I've been drafting outfield, but into getting to 6. But I do like to end early. Multiple times. I feel like if I'm drafting a late outfielder on these teams, I'm like, how much are they going to really add? I want my outfielders to have thunder and then just pivot elsewhere.
I'm right there with you. I mean,
yeah,
we keep saying like, who's this year's Brent Rooker? Who's this year's Jaron Duran? Who's this year's Brenton Doyle? And I mean, the Brenton Doyle thing was like, where the hell did this guy come from? Some people were talking about Rooker. Duran got some pump, but like, hitting that late round outfielder, if you don't invest a lot of draft capital early in your outfield, you almost have to hit that late round outfielder because there's just so much platooning and playing time risk and just guys that aren't good. So I really love the fact that you're already done with your outfield and we're in round 9. And Soler, I don't have as much of him as I want, but he feels really, really nice in LA. It feels like a nice spot for him.
Yeah, and so and they don't have data on this, so I don't typically love to throw like takes out there without any sort of data behind it. But so the late round outfielder thing, I think it's like it's at least the way I think of it is the reason that those late outfielders when they hit so well or they did last year is because it allows for you to get yourself into like a they when they hit, you are drafting premium infielders with them, so it's like a unique construction that works.
Yep.
But to get to that build is a much thinner proposition than it is to build the other way,
Yep.
which is draft your outfielders early. You may have to give up a little bit of projection on like what you think like a best player to player, but like you are going to more often than not have a better squad than if you draft it the other way around, which if you hit the nuts, you hit the nuts and it's going to be awesome. But we've learned that in this format, it's like that's great for the regular season, but you got to do that multiple times in a row too in a short sprint as well. So I'm like, maybe those flipped builds are tough. I don't know. Like, I don't like to make thin bets, and that's what's those you're really dipping into a pool of players that much thinner.
Also, too, and this, I mean, this thought just hit my brain, and it shouldn't. I don't think it's going to impact like how I draft, but you smashing outfield like that, me smashing outfield early, like it kind of weakens the rest of not just two teams, but if you got 3 or 4 people doing that in the same room, like it kind of weakens your competition because it forces them into later outfield builds. Like
Well,
that's
you're
not
also we're on a
good.
stream here, so it's like a totally different environment
Right.
than normal. So I came on today knowing that I had to wait at pitching and that I had to chase outfield. And I was like, okay, I will capitulate, and that is fine because I'm going to still draft a great team.
Yeah, and at a certain point, like you just have to through a draft, you just kind of have to decide like what build you're going to do, and you have to be able to pivot on the fly. But knowing that I was in the 12 hole, I just kind of made up my mind that I was really going to invest in outfield early. And if this outfield hits, if I get this correct, like it's okay that I'm burning these last 4 picks on pitchers, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really leaning into kind of the concept of like draft as if you're right. I treat every team like, all right, if I invest this much draft capital in my outfield early, if 2 of these guys fail, this team's dead anyway. It's just dead. So I don't want to reinforce this outfield too early because if I'm correct, I need to get this other stuff correct to make this team as good as possible. Like I don't know if that's the right way to do it, but that's kind of how I think about it.
Yeah, totally agree. So I don't know if you've been paying attention to the people around that are not us in this draft, but I think we have someone who does not listen to my content on the Stacking Dinger show in the 11 hole.
It's an interesting build. You know, I don't recognize this name.
Not my
So
content, our content. We are a team.
right. And for you guys that don't know, this is a 361. That is an interesting build. If you're watching this and you don't know who I'm talking to here, this is Billy Jones at SportsVizBJ on Twitter X. He is one of the great uh, contributors to the Stacking Dingers channel. If you have not checked out any of the Stacking Dingers content, you absolutely need to do that. Um, they are the 101 when it comes to really in depth looking at how this contest works. The stacking episode that they did a few weeks back was excellent. Part of that was looking at, expected advance rate versus like actual advance rate based on how you drafted. They have a lot of visual aids that really show like how important it is to draft certain positions early and late. So you have to make sure you're checking out the Stacking Dingers guys. Billy does some amazing work over there, and we're gonna have some fun next week. You and I are gonna get together for an AL Central preview. You mentioned it earlier. I'm really, really excited to talk about the White Sox for 7.5 seconds and move on to other teams. I don't know about you.
I love that. Yeah, it'll be a fun show. I think that like you bring on, we're trying to bring people that know the area pretty, like the division relatively well, and fans. So, you being a White Sox fan, I'm not sure if that's actually technically the right term, or like I guess a loyalist is a better way to say it. Like you are
Yeah,
loyal to them, but you are disappointed. I don't
yeah.
know what the right terminology is.
I wonder if it just taps into the subconscious like self-loathing, that kind of feeds that fire, because it definitely doesn't bring me much joy. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's like
There's
you have something to hate so you don't hate yourself.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, just push this stuff down and just blame the
Yeah.
White Sox for all my problems, right? Yeah, it's duh. Are you sure you're not a psychiatrist? So you go
I'm having a
DeGrom
fun
in the
time right now.
ninth, Tovar in the 10th to stack with your boy Doyle, and then Isak Paredes in the 11th.
Yeah,
Nice.
I was like, okay, DeGrom. I haven't drafted a ton of DeGrom, doesn't, but the closer we get to the season, the more I'm in on some of these like injury type of guys. I'm drafting a lot of Trout right now. Starting to turn my attention to DeGrom. Yes, thank you.
Take it down.
So yeah, that's kind of where that's at. But yeah, this team feels pretty good. I feel like I was able to battle back at infield. Paredes is one of our favorites as well. Pull the ball for power.
Well, you talk about catching up at infield. Like, I would not be surprised if we get to the end of this season and some things would have to go right. But if Bobby Witt scored the most points in this format in this season, I would not be totally shocked. Um, that guy is incredible. Just truly an incredible player. And I never feel bad about clicking his name. If you're drafting him, like you got something. You got something working here. Let's go ahead and do. I'm never going to draft Dansby Swanson, even though he ruined our lives in the playoffs last year. Let's do Jackson Holiday. I'm going to buy into the prospect pedigree and hope that this is the year that he gets it going. And I don't really like many of the infielders and outfielders in this range. I could be a jerk and steal Tolia from you, but I won't because I don't really want him on this build. Let's embrace our inner. You know what? Let's even out. Let's go Joe Ryan. I was gonna draft Shane McClanahan, but you know what? I've got enough potential pain on this team. So
You're like,
again,
I've had so much fun already. I'm gonna wind it back a little bit. You're like,
yeah.
this draft is already successful in my mind. I don't need more like pluses. I'm just gonna move the line.
I think everybody's looking at me like, what in the hell is this guy doing already? So let's go ahead and play a little safer with a guy who's not coming off of Tommy John. Now,
well, it's like you're out here in the pub, you're publicly talking about your players and their takes and stuff like that. You don't want this whomever to jump on for the first time and be like, this guy's a dunce.
Look, yeah, you're right. I don't really care about that, though, to be honest. Just play the best plays. I do think that maybe a good chunk of the baseball watching public has forgotten who Shane McClanahan is. Like, this guy is a beast. He is one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. All right. Obviously, the Rays have said they're going to limit his innings to like 150 to 160. Okay, so that's a concern. Coming off of Tommy John, never really know how that's going to go. New ballpark that's basically Florida outdoor Yankee Stadium. Like, I get it. Okay. But Shane McClanahan is an animal, and I want him on a good chunk of my teams. So I have enough. Joe Ryan, I don't have as much of, and I really, really like his strikeout potential. So he just felt right. And accidentally stacked him with Pablo Lopez. So I theoretically, and I want your thoughts on this, theoretically, I increased my odds of, I guess, increase the predictability maybe of having a 2-start week. What are your thoughts on that as it pertains to stacking pitching staffs?
I guess it's interesting as a thought. I haven't teased it out from a data perspective. And I don't know. You really need to see yeah, I think it's tough. I mean, I guess I get what your angle's at. But
Let's
is that, yeah,
let me maybe articulate it, right? So let's say a team has 7 games in a week, right? You have 4 of the pitchers on that staff. You're going to get a 2-start week from somebody, if not 2 of those guys in that particular week. But if you have people on the same staff, I guess that may lower your probability of having multiple guys on your team have 2-start weeks at the same time. I just don't know how to view. I wish we didn't even have to think about it, to be honest, the 2-start week thing. But stacking a pitching staff feels like you can better predict when you're going to get 2-start weeks.
I don't. Hold up. I want to get. That all makes sense. The one line I don't understand is, what do you mean by we? I wish we didn't have to worry about 2-start weeks.
I wish that the scoring was just your best pitcher score of the week.
So you're saying that we're going to devalue pitching even more relative to hitters?
No, if we were going to do that, we talked about this a little bit in the Discord. If you were going to get rid of the 2-start week thing, right, and just have it be the top 1 start, you would absolutely have to change pitching scoring to make it more valuable to offset that. But I don't like that.
Hear me out on this. So go ahead. So pitching, is your better pitchers are just going to separate a little bit more on top of, like, if they're average, they may just have a likelihood of hitting another one, but then if they have back-to-back starts, that back-to-back component is devalued, whereas a pitcher could just be good in one of 2 set. Like if you have the 2-start situation, say that there's 2 pitchers that both get 2 starts. A good one has 2 good starts in a row. They're going to separate materially because they have like compounding, right? One, when if you just use one of those 2 starts, they might add a little bit onto their, like, what was already a good start, whereas a bad pitcher has 2 opportunities to get to, like, decent. Does that make sense? So like I'm concerned that, like, the top end pitchers will be able to separate even less in that format unless they can figure it in the right way.
I think that the way scoring would have to change, and look, I'm not like a guru in this area. This is just thoughts that I've thought to myself. You could tell me if they're dumb. I'll accept it if it's stupid. But if you were to get rid of the 2-start week variance, I think you would have to change pitcher scoring in such a way that it allows those top tier pitchers to separate more. So you would have to give more points for strikeouts or innings pitched and stuff like that. Like there would have to be multiple facets of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not a fan of the variance of like, oh, it happened to have 2 guys get a 2-start week. And like, I don't know. I just don't like drafting for stuff that just is complete and total, just absolute freaking luck. And 2-start weeks is one of those things you can't predict it at all. There's no way to do it. So I don't know. I'm not a fan of it. It's part of the game, and I'm not like, it's not like I am necessarily complaining about it, but like I think it would be neat to exist in a world where you get whatever. If you have a pitcher throw 2 starts in 1 week, you just get the best score that they put up. But that score needs to be higher because of the scoring change to make it so pitchers can be more valuable. Does that make sense? Does that line of thinking make any sense at all?
It does. I think that I would just need to see it, like, teased out across the season and see what the results come out as. And I think the key is you got to still make the best pitchers like the best pitchers
That is
in
true.
that in the format. And so, and I'm not sure that that's it's. I don't think there's a situation right now where like the first guys off the board can be a good pick. They're going to be a fine pick that you need to make good picks around, and that's probably wrong. Like the like a QB1 should be able to separate. Doesn't matter where they're drafted from. So like, shouldn't that be the same for pitching? But um,
And Duke makes a good point. Variance exists with bats too. I totally get that. Two steps are part of the game. I completely get that. And it's not like I'm not clamoring for them to make a change or whatever. It's just, I don't know. I just find the whole two start week discussion kind of annoying because there's nothing that we can do to predict it. You just, like you said, I'm just gonna draft the pitchers that I think can perform the best based on projections and or player takes, and just hope to God that they happen to get two starts. Like I'm not avoiding Dodgers pitchers because they may be slightly less likely to get a two-start week. I'm going to
mhm,
draft Yamamoto and Tyler Glass now because they're awesome. And the two-start thing is it's just going to be what it's going to be.
yeah.
Um, Sorry, I went off on a tangent there. So you took two pitchers back to back that I think are very, very fun.
Hmm.
Yusei Kikuchi, who I've been like historically out on, strikes out a lot of guys, and he's projecting pretty well this year. And Christopher Sanchez is flying up boards now.
Absolutely flying upwards. And um, I mean, you see him pitch. He's like I love to like I don't want to like use the eye test too much just because that you would just pick a bunch of guys that swing and miss but hit the ball to the moon, and
Right.
then guys that throw 99, and there's more to baseball than that. But he's fun to watch. He's a lefty that kind of throws pretty hard, big movement. Like I can see it working. So and he's been a buzzy name. We had a guy on this week in Stacking Diggers last night that when we recorded it that was thinking that he could have a potentially like high Cy Young kind of like season. So um, I don't know. I'm excited to see what he can do, and I want to kind of fill his like profile up in my yeah. I'm kind
I
of
was avoiding him for quite a while because I was not enamored with his strikeout ratios, but um, like you said, he throws very, very hard, and he's been getting a little bit of chatter in the Twitterverse
mhm.
about kind of having that breakout season. So um, I've been working him in a little bit lately. Duke says, get ready for the 9.65s and 8.66s to dominate this year. Not enough attention has been paid to diminishing returns. Do you think that some of these funkier builds that I don't really feel like we're doing, because I think the majority of people in the best ball space, you know, the content creators like Stacking Dingers, guys, you, the Badge Bros, like 7s and 6s are kind of king. But do you think that there's room for these weird like 8.66 builds or like a 9.65 to actually really make some noise this
Oh
year?
yeah, for sure. And I'm actually a believer in some of the more fringe builds being the true like optimal. But they're fringe for a reason because there's like very finite ways to pull them off. Like it's not like you can there's if you draft kind of infield or outfield early and then you balance your infield and pitching, like you can draft that roster and that construction and like there's many different ways. Like I think you can absolutely see a 9.65 working. It's just you're gonna have to nail it on the head. And that's what's harder about that. And also anytime we have these like aggregate numbers about how 9.65 or 8.66 did, like that's not it's missing the boat because like an 8.66 you could have drafted two early pitchers and then they're in that 8.66 population and I'm saying they drafted it wrong. So yeah, I think that like that 866 is a misunderstood because you like if you look at eight pitchers in summary, like a summary number, it says don't draft eight pitchers. But if you push pitching and like you draft the least amount of them, then actually like flips and it becomes the best build. So I totally agree with that. That
Yeah. 8.66 is really, really fun to do. It has to be done correctly. Like if you're gonna do it, it's gonna be basically a zero pitcher build, right? Because like you need to invest heavy capital infield and outfield to make those. If you're only gonna roll with 12 bats and you need to use 7 of them every single week, you gotta be able to count on those guys to put up some numbers. Um, I don't have but maybe a couple of 866 builds, but it's definitely something that I want to force myself to do as time goes on, because I do think that it could be a lucrative way to build a little bit differently. It just kind of has to all line up properly. Duke is saying, and I'm really gonna listen to Duke here, okay? Because Duke had one of the highest advance rates in the entire contest last year. So he said he had 40-ish 8-pitcher builds advanced last year. And I think that just kind of speaks to what you just talked about, Billy. Like, kind of paraphrasing, like if you do an 866 build correctly, it can really, really differentiate.
Yeah, so did I. I think this year, I think I've been a little more 7. Just not in concept. I still think the pushing pitcher later is the better play. But the reason it's like I last year. So last year's early pitching was much more expensive than this year's early pitching. Last year's like pitcher 30 is like not much different than this year's pitcher 30. So like you're not getting as much edge on like the delta between like a top pitcher and a mid-round pitcher, like in terms of like the cost. So that's why I'm like a little more into drafting a Michael King or one of the top guys in like in the round 6 slot. Last year I had a ton of like didn't start until the 10th round and drafted 8. I didn't get 10 nines, but 8 of them. But yeah, but I'm in slamming pitching mode. I think I drafted 4 out of the last 5 guys.
You have, yep. So your last 5 picks have been Kikuchi, Christopher Sanchez, your boy Ryan McMahon, Jackson Jobe, and Ronel Blanco. Yeah, so you've been hitting this pitching late. Let's take a look at
McMahon's like not my like. He's not like most exciting of the Rockies, but he's always there and available. It feels like, and he's just. I got the full 4 right now, and I'm all set. But I think they're just so clean to stack up, and if they just get be spiky for me, then they'll pay it off.
It's pretty easy to do too. You've got a 646 build right now. So sorry, this is me. Keep slipping. 656 for you. King, DeGrom, Kikuchi, Sanchez, Jobe, and Blanco. Infield is Witt, Tovar, Paredes, Tolia, McMahon, and then the outfield Rooker, Santander, Butler, Doyle, Cruz, and Soler. What are you thinking build wise? Are you going to do maybe 776? Or are you thinking 686? What's kind of the game plan?
776. I think that outfield I'm plenty good. Pitching, I think I got some top end talent too, and plenty of volume. I also Jackson Jobe. I love the idea of him coming on late this year. It's like I don't know. I see he's definitely going to have a material like amount of innings on this team this year. And it may not if it doesn't happen right away. Like I'm almost like fine with that if they give him a month or a couple starts before they put him on the major leagues, just because like kind of extends his shelf life a little longer. But I just think he's just so electric, and maybe again like another guy where my eyes will pull me in the wrong direction, but he just spins the hell out of the ball, upper nines, like really fun to watch pitch.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and kind of take the risk on Jordan Walker here. Imaging came back on his knee clean, so hopefully it's just a little tweak and he doesn't really miss any time. But felt like I wanted to bolster my outfield there, and let's take a swing on the youngster. This range is kind of boring. I feel like Xander Bogaerts is a little underpriced. Like he's not exciting at all, but I feel like his price is a little too low right now. I don't. Where are you at on Bogarts? Is he even a guy you're looking at?
I love the idea. Oh, I didn't realize Duke Dean's got a 9.44. We need to talk about that afterwards.
Oh, we
Uh,
will.
Duke, you are braver than I. Um, what was your question again before that?
Is Bogarts a guy that you're like even looking at? Like, I feel like he's slightly mispriced. Like, I feel like he can be a solid value here. I just kind of don't really know what to do with him, but feels kind of safe for this build. I don't know. Where are you at on him?
I mean, you got the. Do you have San Diego stack at all or no?
Um, I don't. I actually, it's free. Like, I probably should have gone if I was going to go with Bogarts. I probably should have gone Edmund because, like, what's the difference between them at the
Mm,
end of the day?
I was gonna
Um,
say like where I see Bogarts is like a premium piece to stack at the end of the
okay.
draft. Like if you have a San Diego and there's three ways to do it early, um, him aligning there is like individually you're about to make an argument for why he's a good pick, like as a standalone pick, and then when you stack him up on the team, it's like it aligns off perfectly, and he's a position which you would love to fill later comparatively to actually let's go. I'm gonna probably take like three guys that are undrafted at this point. So
I
we'll
love it.
start with the one that I think's
Um,
here now. But I was gonna say like he's just like he just is the perfect tack on late for San Diego Bills.
yeah, and this is, doing a draft and streaming at the same time, I've discovered is not easy at all. I completely forgot in that moment that I have a two-man LA stack here. So in hindsight, like if I could do it over again, I would have taken Tommy Edmond there. Like Tommy Edmond doesn't exactly get my juices flowing, but stacking him with Muncie and Conforto feels better than just taking a one-off Xander. That was a
Yeah.
mistake. But it's not, I don't think it's going to kill me, but it's just one of those things. Like I'll look, you know, I see it now, but I'll look back on this team and be like, yeah, that was probably not the right click to make. But Ryan Weathers, man, in the 18th round, I've been taking him a little bit. In the 20th, he's getting a little gas lately.
Yeah, I think it's just at that well these late round pitching is getting a lot thinner. Like there
Yeah.
was uncertainty on where to go with it. It's both like everyone's getting a damn oblique injury, and
So
and
annoying.
then like then so you get that, and then it's kind of like it's been compressing, and it's I don't know. So got to figure out new ways to draft pitching late, and it seems like he's got a locked in starting position. They got to have someone pitch for that team, and he looks like he's pretty inspiring. So um, yeah, and someone I'm going to start to mix in a little bit.
Curious what you would do in my situation. I'm probably going to go 6-7-7 with this team. But review my team real quick. The pitching staff: Pablo Lopez, George Kirby, Hunter Brown, Tyler Glasnow, Joe Ryan, and Gavin Williams. And then the infield: Seager, Contreras, Holiday, Muncie, Bogarts. This feels like a 6-7-7 to me. Would you do that, or would you go 7-6-7?
I mean, your pitching is definitely fine, and so I don't think you need to go there.
That's
Um,
kind of what I'm
if
thinking.
anything, your infield might be a little light, so probably
Yeah,
do that. And
I'm
if
a
we want
little.
to just kind of like wrap up San Diego, Cronenworth is nice right there. Um, kind of give you a backdoor, and I think that they're actually not. It's actually there's some other backdoor stacks that people have been mentioning. I think Cronenworth Bogarts is maybe not as like inspiring, but they're gonna play every day.
Yeah, it's not the most fun thing to do, but I think I am gonna go ahead and do it, and I'm gonna do Yainer Diaz too to stack with Jordan. Uh, if Houston's offense is going to be solid this year, they need a big year from Yainer Diaz because that offense looks pretty weak outside of Jordan, Altuve, um, and Yainer. Like it's Christian Walker. I keep forgetting about him, but I don't know. I feel like if there's ever going to be a breakout year for Yainer Diaz to develop some power, it needs to be this year for Houston's sake. So I'm going to go ahead and take him for the stack here. What do you think of those two guys back to back for this team?
I like it. Clean stacks, brand plays. What else could you ask for?
Right? Just play the hits sometimes, man. I have quite a bit of Diaz, not a ton. This is the guy, Gavin Williams is the guy that I've just started drafting whenever I feel like drafting him. I've been pretty in on him. I'm in like the 25% range, I think, with him. And he's looked incredible in spring so far. And my fear is he's going to start flying up draft boards, but I think I'm just going to keep drafting him because he's a former, pretty solid prospect. I don't know, top prospect maybe, but like Cleveland is a pitching factory too. So he's just been kind of one of those guys I'm leaning in at late pitcher. Like, this is my guy. Hopefully it works out.
Mm-hmm. I like it. I'm trying to figure out how am I going to finish this draft. I have a specific person in mind, but I also have to have another option if that goes awry because I need to be able to like land this plane. I can't mess up on stream.
I haven't. I don't know if he's gone yet. He probably is. I'm interested to see what you do here.
Okay, I mean, he didn't get picked.
Is it Soderstrom?
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. There it is.
Predictable Jones.
You do enough of these. No, I mean, just looking at your team, I actually I wasn't even sure if you were in on Soderstrom, but just kind of looking at your team and knowing kind of what was left. I saw the Oakland thing that you were doing, and it just made sense. I like it, man.
Yeah, I kind of like how this team turned out. I did not get any sort of Kansas City stack with Bobby Witt.
That's fine.
That's like a stream thing that I wish that I had done. Like that's like, or it's tough to pull. It's tough to pull off all your missions on stream. But that's one where it's like I probably would have been a little more intentional about that. But I'm happy with how my stacks land out.
And Kansas City is like fine. I mean, Vinny Pasquantino feels really nice. Jonathan India feels pretty good too. I don't know that I'm gonna do the Salvador Perez thing very much. He's an aging catcher. I think he just got hurt too. So Kansas City, Turbo said it. KC is basically a planned infield stack. Yeah, there's no outfielders, right? That you're going to actually draft out of Kansas City that I can think of off the top of my head.
Melendez.
Yeah, I mean, you guys can have MJ Melendez. I think we've seen what's the bull case for him? Just a lot of plate appearances and like maybe he hits 20 home runs. Like I'm just gonna pass on MJ Melendez. I think we've seen what he's gonna be, but that's just a player take. I could be completely wrong on him. Let's get back on the draft here. I'm going to go ahead and review my team. Then we're going to look at Billy's, and then we're going to look at our guy Duke Dean's because he has a really interesting build. And I want to look at FK coolers and turbos too. You guys came in here. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and Billy. Hopefully you're having a good time. That's the whole point. If you could on your way out, please like the video. If you're not subscribed to the channel, I'd appreciate. I'd love to see you guys come back. So thank you again for coming out and hanging out with us. So out of the 12 hole, I drafted a 6-7-7 build. Pablo Lopez, George Kirby, Hunter Brown, Tyler Glasnow, Joe Ryan, Gavin Williams. I love this pitching staff. Infield, Corey Seager, William Contreras, Jackson Holiday, Max Muncy, Xander Bogaerts, Jake Cronenworth, and Yainer Diaz. Kind of a weak infield. Outfield, Jordan, Schwarber, Trout, Yelich, Carter, Conforto, and Jordan Walker. Overall, I really do like this team. I need some things to go right in the infield for this team to really make some noise. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
I think what I've gotten to is infield scores the most. so you don't want to be weak at infield. So, um, dead.
Here's how the season would
Yeah,
go. Payne, yes. We didn't even talk about Grayson Rodriguez, and we're not going to because I'm dead inside. So he'll be
yeah.
fine. But
I
go
think
ahead.
that,
Sorry.
but my take is that you have some pieces that can definitely hit, but I think that in general, I'm trying to not be weak at infield because they're going to be
Yeah.
more likely than not, like your second and third infielders are going to be separators more than your second and third outfielders are going to be separators.
Yeah. I need this infield needs the Jackson Holiday breakout season, and it
Hmm.
needs Max Muncy to stay on the field and not get stuck in a platoon.
Hmm.
So, um, so I like this team. Don't love it, but let's take a look at yours. 776 build from the 5 hole. So Michael Caine, Jacob DeGrom, Yusei Kikuchi, Christopher Sanchez, Jackson Jobe, Ronel Blanco, and Ryan Weathers. The infield is Witt, Tovar, Paredes, Tolia, McMahon, Garcia, and Soderstrom. Luis Garcia of the Nationals for you audio listeners. And then the outfield, Brent Rooker, Anthony Santander, Lawrence Butler, Brenton Doyle, Dylan Cruz, and Jorge Soler. You did a much better job of stacking than I did. This looks like a fun team, man. How are you feeling about it?
Good. I mean, stacking is a lot easier when your screen's not up. You
Yeah.
just star them. And so there's definitely moments where I was not listening to you and I was stacking my queue in the right manner. But the no, I like my team. Uh, Outfield feels very strong.
Yeah.
Infield feels like I got guys that can hit the ball very hard. My late pieces are stacks that I don't feel like are bad baseball players. Like Luis Garcia seems like he can be a very good baseball player. He just may not be like super high upside, but he's young and undiscovered in terms of what he could potentially be. So I like that. And Tyler Soderstrom like seems like he hits the ball really hard,
Mm-hmm.
and he's like in kind of a catcher. And I'm a catcher. I'm so like anytime I can make that rationalization, like I love that. I will say Tyler Soderstrom, go look at his baseball savant. Tell me what is he left or right handed? Like, do you know this answer?
Uh, I believe he's left-handed, isn't he?
Yes, but then I so I wish I would phrase that correctly. I didn't, but like look at his spray chart for home runs. Have you ever done this?
I am looking at it right now. 2024 hits spray chart, opposite field.
All
Yeah,
oppo. And I'm
all
just like,
oppo.
what is that?
Yeah, that's
Uh,
kind of crazy.
so I'm really curious on him and how that um how that ultimately translates to the major leagues. Are they going to teach him to pull for power? Is that who he is? And he's just a very balanced hitter. I don't know, but I'm excited for him and kind of looks like he's going to get a full run with the Athletics this year.
Yeah, and if you're really buying into them playing in Sacramento where it's going to be dry and hot a lot of the season, like you would think the ball might fly out of there. So you're buying into that with the Rooker Lawrence Butler
Mhm.
thing. So obviously, if that's a thing, it's only going to help Tyler Soderstrom, Shea Langeliers, Zach Geloff
Mhm.
to a lesser extent. So the A's are a very fun team. If you can get those two together at the front, they're really easy to backstack, and I like it. It's fun. Um,
Mhm.
let's look at Duke's team. So 965 is his build. And again, guys, this is a dude who was one of the higher advancers last year. So Cole Reagan, Spencer Schwellenbach, Bailey Ober, Kevin Gossman, Seth Lugo, Robbie Ray, Spencer Arrighetti, Jose Barrios, Tanner Hawk, Enfield, Jose Ramirez, Austin Riley, Mark Vientos, Nico Horner, Michael Bush, Christian Campbell. And then the outfield is Kyle Tucker, Ian Happ, Jerickson Profar, Stephen Kwan, and Victor Robles. So
Yeah,
I
I
think,
don't know about this, dude. Like,
yeah, I don't know if the offense has enough juice. I get what he's doing here because he mentioned it in the chat, right? He is trying to lean into the 2 start week thing, right? Which makes sense because you want to have as many 2 start weeks as you can um, when it matters most.
but if that's the case, then why are we taking Cole Reagans like in the way that he is that early? I understand that, but Nico Horner horrible in this format. Doesn't hit the ball out of the ballpark. Um, like what that if you flip that to any pitcher and that Cole Reagan's pick is an infielder like with some juice, I think that this build becomes better. But um, that's my only knock here. I also like I, for a team that's this pitching like numerically heavy, like 9. I was expecting like a much stronger like hitting team. This is like building to a thin level, like a very like what we were talking about previously. Like builds like this are definitely going to be the optimal, but to get it right is just
Right.
hard.
The outfield has a lot of floor. Tucker has a lot of floor. Hap has a lot of floor. Quan has a ton of floor. Buying into the Victor Robles, kind of being real, the Jerks and Profar offense upgrade. Like I see the vision. I don't know necessarily if it'll work. I mean, none of us do, but I get what he's trying to do here, and I like the funkiness of a build like this. Time will tell if it's going to work. We're going to find out starting March 27th if this is a build that could be viable. But I do think also doing a really unique build like this is going to be very, very difficult to do in a streamed draft where, like thankfully we got lucky and a lot of people who were in the stream were able to draft with us. It's going to be a little harder to pull something like that off with a room full of what I think are very sharp drafters too. But it's an interesting thought exercise. So, yeah, I think this was fun, man. I don't think I'll review every single team, and we're what, an hour and some odd minutes. I don't even know where the clock is. And I don't want to keep you guys here too long. But look, man, I really appreciate you coming on. I have fun with you every single time we hang out and do a draft. Those of you in the chat showed up live. Thank you so much for hanging out with us, watching after the fact. Thank you for checking this out. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you had a good time. Billy, I hope you had fun, man. Any final thoughts before we go?
This was great. I always appreciate your opinions. We draft similarly, but we also just have our own unique takes, which is great to hear someone else thoughts on stuff. And then as much as I like try to hide from these type of draft rooms because I want dead teams. I want to have someone
Right.
fall asleep in the draft. I want people to not know what they're doing. Like this is definitely it makes you draft a little bit differently, and that's okay, and that's good because last year my best team was on one of these. So um, I'm hoping that's this one.
Me too, man. Wouldn't that be cool? Have you
Yeah,
draft in back-to-back years? Have you draft the best team in the entire contest on a stream? That'd be awesome.
I would. Well,
Uh,
I don't care about that. I want to make a finals.
Correct. That is the only thing that actually matters. But it is kind of cool, that your team smashed so hard last year. It just, it didn't mean anything in the end. But you know what? You can at least say you had the highest scoring team in the Dinger last year. You're the only one who can say that. So
Yeah.
it bought you like a couple of double cheeseburgers from McDonald's in the end. But it's the pride that we wear, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys. Thank you again for coming out. Billy, thank you as always for hopping on. We'll definitely have to do another one of these before the season begins. Guys, make sure you are subscribed to the Stacking Dingers channel. Billy does a lot of great work for them. And if you are not subscribed to that channel, you need to be. I will be hopping on with Billy and the Stacking Dingers crew on Tuesday, right? That's kind of the game plan is
Tuesday night,
for us to
Wednesday
do that.
episode.
Yeah. But I'll be recording and then you guys will do your thing and put that out. But I'm looking forward to that. Everyone, have a wonderful evening. Thanks for hanging out. This will probably be my only stream this week, but I'll definitely see you guys next week at some point. Okay. Have a good night, everybody. Take care.